Welcome to Esoteric Thoughts. We watch films like The Voyage of Sinbad and Jason and the Argonauts and see them as sheer entertainment, a story based on myth, namely Greek mythology. But when these same stories are in the Bible, people suddenly see them as real, literal, divine, historical, and the holy word of God. Yet the Bible stories are based on these very same tales of mythology. In Mark chapter 5, Jesus cures and tames an uncontrollable man possessed by demons. The influence of this story can be traced back directly to the writings of Homer in the Odyssey, in Greek mythology. Mark combines two myths into one and presents Jesus as an even better, more powerful character as the hero Odysseus. Let's explore two Greek myths and the biblical version, then analyze the parallels. In the Odyssey 9, we are told once the ships were beached, Odysseus and his 12 men went out on the shore of the sea. They saw a cave next to the sea with a large herd of sheep and goats nearby. The cave belonged to a monstrous Cyclops called Polyphemus, who lived alone, isolated from everyone. Odysseus and his 12 men explored the cave, bringing with them wine from off the ship. When they entered, they found no one, and helped themselves to the food in the cave. The Cyclops arrived with his flock of goats and sealed the entrance of the cave with a huge stone door. Odysseus, realizing they were trapped, asked the Cyclops for hospitality. But the Cyclops jumped up and snatched 2 of his men, brutally smashing them on the ground, and ate them, including their bones. Odysseus and the remaining men couldn't escape because of the sealed door, so he decided to get the giant drunk on the wine and then blind the Cyclops with a pointed stick. As the Cyclops drank, he asked Odysseus for his name, to which he replied, "Nobody is my name. They call me Nobody, my mother, father, and all my comrades as well." After drinking too much wine, Polyphemus fell into a drunken sleep, and Odysseus and his men jabbed the sharpened point of a beam into his only eye, blinding him. He let out a great shout to the Cyclops who lived around him in the caves. When they heard his cry, they rushed to the entrance of his cave and asked what was troubling him. Polyphemus from within the cave answered them, "O friends, nobody is killing me by trickery and not by violence." And they replied and addressed him, saying, "So if no one is committing violence against you while you are there alone, it must be that you cannot escape a sickness from the great Zeus." The Cyclops removed the stone from the door of the cave and tried to grab Odysseus' men as they left, but the hero had tied them beneath the sheep before they left the cave so that the giant's groping hands would not detect them. Once the men arrived at the ships, Odysseus spoke back to the Cyclops with a raging heart. "Cyclops, if some mortal man should ask you about the shameful blinding of your eye, say that Odysseus, raider of cities, blinded it. Oh, that I were able to rob you of your life and survival, and to send you to the house of Hades, since not even the earth-shaker Poseidon will heal your eye." Before we look at the parallels in the story, let's consider the second myth that Mark used to merge into his biblical version. In Odyssey 10, Odysseus landed at another mysterious island and sent out a search party led by his second-in-command, Eurylochus. They came upon the house of a witch called Circe. The witch came out to meet the search party, showed them hospitality, and drugged them, all except Eurylochus, who hid during the whole event. After drugging the men, she penned them in pigsties. They had the heads, voice, bristles, and shapes of pigs, but their minds were unchanged. Eurylochus fled and reported what had happened. Odysseus went and rescued his men by himself. Fortunately, the god Hermes gave him a magical plant to keep him from falling under the witch's spell. So Odysseus drank the witch's potion, but was not transformed into a pig. He then drew his sword and threatened to kill her, and the witch relented and returned Odysseus' men to their normal condition. In the biblical version, together with his disciples, Jesus reaches the region of Gadarenes, where they met a man possessed by demons. Over the years, no one had been able to control this man, and therefore he lived in the tombs, all alone. When the man saw Jesus, he fell to his knees, and Jesus demanded to know his name. He answered that his name was Legion, because of all the demons that were inside of him. Jesus ordered the demons to leave his body, and the evil spirits entered a herd of pigs nearby. The pigs then run down a steep incline and drown in the waters below. The people looking after the pigs come to Jesus to report the incident, but when they see the previously demon-possessed man sitting next to Jesus, dressed up and clean, they became afraid. Word spread of how Jesus healed the man and what had happened to the pigs. The man begged Jesus to go with him, but was ordered to go back to his people instead. Now let's look closer at the parallels and see how the author of the Gospel of Mark chapter 5 took these Greek myths and retold and remodeled them into the Jesus account in the same sequential order. Odysseus and his crew sailed to the land of the Cyclops and of Circe. Jesus and his disciples sailed to the region of the Gadarenes. Odysseus has 12 crewmen. Jesus has 12 disciples. On the mountains of the Cyclops, countless goats grazed. Circe turned Odysseus' comrades into pigs. In the biblical account, on the mountains, a large herd of pigs grazed, about 2,000 of them. Odysseus and his crew went ashore. Jesus and his disciples went ashore. They discovered a savage, lawless giant who lived in a cave. In the Bible, they discovered a savage, lawless, demon-possessed man who lived among the caves. Polyphemus usually was depicted nude. In the biblical version, the demon-possessed man was nude. Circe, the witch, recognized Odysseus and asked him not to harm her. The giant asked if Odysseus had come to harm him. In the Bible, the demon-possessed man recognized Jesus and asked him not to harm him. The giant asked Odysseus his name. Jesus asked the man his name. Odysseus answered, "Nobody." The man answered, "Legion." The exchange of names in both stories gives the hero power over the caveman. By naming himself Nobody, Odysseus outsmarted the giant so that he could not get help from the other Cyclopses. By learning the name of the demons, Jesus seems to have gotten power over them. Odysseus subdued the giant with violence and trickery. Circe had turned Odysseus' soldiers into pigs. In the Bible, Jesus subdued the demons with a word and sent them into the pigs and then into the lake. The shepherd called out to his neighbors. In the Bible, the swineherds reported to their neighbors. The Cyclops came to the site asking about Polyphemus' sheep and goats. The neighbors came to the site to find out about their pigs. Odysseus and crew boarded the ship. In the Bible, Jesus and his disciples boarded the ship. Odysseus told the giant to broadcast that he had blinded him. Jesus told the healed man to broadcast what God had done for him. The giant asked Odysseus, now on the ship, to come back. And in the Bible, the man asked Jesus, now on the ship, if he could be with him. Odysseus refused the request. Jesus refused the request. Odysseus and his crew sailed away. Jesus and his disciples sailed away. Odysseus awoke during a storm in the episode immediately following Polyphemus. In the biblical version, Jesus awoke during a storm and calmed the wind and the sea immediately before the episode of the demon-possessed man. The combination of similarities between these episodes in the tale of Homer and Mark's demon-infested man are too dense and distinctive to be accidental. Mark wanted his readers to note that Jesus was a better and more powerful hero than Homer's. Whereas Odysseus blinded a monster, Jesus made a monster sane. Similarly, the witch Circe turned soldiers into pigs for eating, but Jesus cast a legion of demons into pigs to return the madman to sanity. Here again, Jesus is depicted as a hero of compassion. There are many other similarities and parallels between the biblical accounts and the ancient Greek and Egyptian mythology. The source for these myths have been around long before Christianity came onto the scene. We will further explore the New Testament origins of the Gospel stories and the influence of Greek mythology as part of this series. Thank you.